I'm back, and this is a video I've had floating in the back of my head for a while. I've seen other artists do something similar, but as a writer, I wanted to see if I could use a simple prompt and create a whole plot and poster from it. And just for good measure, a character was born from each prompt. These prompts were actually a lot of fun to work with. I wouldn't be opposed to making more like these, since this was really fun to do. I got to test some things I was never able to do with lighting and shading. Also, who knows? I may do more with these OCs in the form of art pieces or comics. Also, I actually lost a lot of the original things I had set up for this video when my computer basically collapsed in on itself, so the prompts are not 100% what chat gave me. If you would like to do this, you don't have to credit me. I don't know if anyone else has done this before. Also, during the process of the speed paints, you'll see a ref sheet that looks like it has a third character on it. That's because I was originally going to do 3 instead of 2, but as I was working on the video, it was getting very long and kind of taxing. Alright, enough of me yapping. Let's get started. The first prompt was the clockmaker's secret. The clockmaker's apprentice notices something strange in one of the clockmaker's clocks. It's a map that leads to a place that should be forgotten. I had a clear view of what this poster would look like from the start, with kind of a warm sunset type feel with shadows falling onto the clock that our protagonist, whose name is Noah Frost, is holding to give kind of an ominous feel. So I started by doing the base line art sketch off screen to figure out the composition before doing the final line art. I wanted to have Noah holding his mentor's clock with a confused and curious expression as he looks at the paper sticking out of the clock. I also gave him glasses because I thought it would be cute. For his outfit, I did a bit of research and found an outfit from the 19th century that looked like something a clockmaker would possibly wear, with some edits to fit the character, of course. Now, I'm not a big expert on history nor fashion, so this outfit could be completely wrong. I have no idea. His species ended up being a jaguar because during the process I rolled what each of the species of the characters would be. I also decided he'd be a black jaguar for aesthetic purposes. The line art process was fairly easy since I had a clear vision in my head, so nothing much to talk about that. Now let's move on to the coloring. For Noah's design, I went with more browns to fit the setting and his fur color. I gave him a bow tie since I thought it'd fit his personality. He's polite, a bit timid, and very curious. For the clock he's holding, I went with a reddish scarlet brown to emphasize its elegance and importance. Plus, it fit the color palette I was going with. Coloring was a fairly simple process. The part I was really dreading was the lighting and shading. I had a light source in mind, but since I'm still working on shading with a light source in the image, it was a pretty big challenge. I didn't want to cast too many shadows on Noah's face, but enough to show that he's in the dark about what he's going to find out. Now, the clock itself is cast in many shadows to show that we know absolutely nothing about it, and there may be something a bit darker lying inside it. As I was shading, I did my best to not cast too many shadows on Noah, and I tried to color the line art but couldn't find the right shade, so I decided it looked better without it being colored. I then added highlights to finish it off, and we're done. The second prompt was the signal. This one was really interesting and pretty much immediately caught my attention. A power surge causes all the power to shut off suddenly. When the power comes back on, the radio operator notices a signal coming from their radio. When turning it up, they find out it's calling them by their full name. For this one, I imagined a blue, purple, and reddish color scheme for lighting and shading, with the main character, whom I named June Wilder, looking at a red light with her hand hovering over it with a shocked expression. This one's composition took some figuring out, but it was a fun challenge. So once again, I did the base line art sketch off screen to make things a bit easier for me to record. For June's design, I gave her a simple outfit since I imagine she's probably in her early 20s and has a more casual outfit style. Plus, she mainly works at home since the radio would be one she operates from her apartment close to her parents' house. I also gave her a small head tuft since I thought it'd be cute. Plus, while I was designing her, she looked a bit bald without the head tuft. I imagine she treats her big ears like hair and is always making sure they look their best. She never ties them because I imagine it'd hurt. As for her fur color, I wanted her to be a bit of a beige color since I based her off a jackrabbit and wild hares, since they're more of a beige to a rusty brown fur color. For June's expression, I definitely wanted horror to be in her eyes. I mean, imagine if the light suddenly turned off and then back on again, and then someone you don't even know is calling you by your full name. That would be terrifying. But I didn't want her pupils to be too small and terrified to show that she is a bit curious to know what's going on. Once again, the composition took some figuring out, and it took me several tries with the sketch in order to get what I wanted. Eventually, I settled on what you guys see here. For the background and her desk, I wanted shades of blue and purple to give the cold yet ominous feeling, as if a chill was going down the entire scene's spine, with a small red dot just below June's hand. Throughout the coloring process, you can see me playing with shades and colors as I try to figure everything out. For the shading, I struggled to find a light source for a bit until I settled on a few shadows falling onto June's face, and large shadows falling onto her body. I also used a reddish-orange color for shading. Now, as I was drawing, the Speedpaint footage began to get very large file-wise, so in order to keep the footage I collected, I had to do the lighting and highlights off-screen. I overlaid the drawing with a shadow of its own to kind of darken everything and set the mood, and added some red highlight reflections on her paw hovering over the red light, and some standard highlights on her body. For the text, I used a pixel text to match the sort of sci-fi feel the story would have. This time, coloring the line art did look good, so I did. And we're done. So, what do you guys think of the posters? I had a lot of fun doing them. I wouldn't be opposed to making a part 2, although wish me luck editing this. What would you guys do if you got these prompts? Also, if you guys have any ideas about extra bits of lore I could add to these characters, do let me know. If you like my art, tune into my community tab every week as I release a drawing every Friday. And also check out my Pinterest. Link in the description and my channel description. Please like, comment, and subscribe, it helps me out a whole lot. Thank you all so much for watching and getting this far into the video. I'll see you around. Bye-bye! Hey, it's the end card. So yeah, this was a whole lot of fun to do, and I'm definitely going to do more speed paints, but it was also a pain in the butt to edit. So I may not do a speed paint for a while. I have actually been planning some comics and animatics that I really want to do, so you guys probably see that. But yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, have a good day and night, and drink water.